Yeah, it's Gremlins. But it is good to see you again after we had taken a Christmas and a New Year break. So it's great to be back in the saddle and uh, to be able to play with you here. Um, yeah, I did notice Fluffy. Roll20 did something because the menus are different now. I mean, they have these like nice big buttons and everything in the different settings, and everything looks to be written out a little larger. But I'm like, oh,
You
something
probably just
updated.
need to reset your video capture
Yeah, I'll figure it out.
on Roll20. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, so I am going to. I'm gonna do some quick. Oh, hey, there we go. I sees ya. A shout out to Coffee Cat Presents, who runs
okay?
Caffeine Fix art streams.
Yes,
Yeah,
you look
yeah.
good.
Everyone else looks terrible.
Well, gee, thanks. It's good to see you too. Look, the holidays can be kind of rough. Coffee Cat runs Caffeine Fix art streams and Vampire the Masquerade, War for the Soul City in Jackson, Mississippi.
Yep.
So make sure to go check out all the happenings there. We also have KH Darkwolf, who will get her channel back as soon as she gives me my channel back. But for now, she is streaming.
Have your channel back when the episodes are uploaded.
Yeah, I know. This is just a game of one-upsmanship here as we we have several ultimatums on the stack. Now we got to resolve the order of effects. So give her a look as well, because she will be doing some RPG, maybe some video game streaming and other things. And then we also are going to give a shout out to the Gathering of Noids, where every once in a while you might be able to find Lethality Complex, as well as a lot of other fun varietal content, Minecraft, Goose Goose Duck, apparently, and role playing if you run it.
I don't know when they played Goose Goose Duck. That must have been a little while ago. It's been a while.
They're all over the place, apparently.
Yeah, it's been a while since we streamed. I'm probably gonna actually start doing some more things on my personal channel.
Oh, all right. Well, then when that happens, let me know.
I might stream some my adventures through Final Fantasy 14 or some fighting game streams.
Twitch.tv/Lethality Complex.
Yeah,
that's where you can find me.
Let's do that real quick. Lethality.
The last game I streamed was probably Vampire.
Whoops.
Oh no game.
Really? No. That was my misspelling.
Oh,
I think there's an extra I in there somewhere. There we go. It was Vampire the Masquerade. Yep.
Yeah, last game we were doing was that was when the Nerds channel was screwing up and I had to stream to my own. I had to stream to my own channel for an episode of Brisbane by Night.
Ages ago.
Oh yeah, that was an episode of Brisbane.
Those were the days. All right, well then I'm gonna take us in a sense, as you all were aboard the Repentless, and you were descending upon the southern tip of the island of Mesomasca. We're having as we were preparing for the holidays, it was a lighter episode. Mordecai, you were doing some questioning, some searching of the soul and self. You had asked some questions and received some answers by way of natural phenomena, perhaps.
That's what it's tend to do.
Yes. Zuvawau is not usually one for direct yeses or nos, and will look around you. Your at least the abbreviated notes of your questions were question 1: do souls linger? And that's when, as you were descending and you were approaching the coast, you saw some of the famous glass birds of Mesomasca here that were just sort of, flying by the rail, checking y'all out as they were as they had their transparent bodies were just sort of like filtering the sun through. You asked, is it offensive to bring someone back who's not forgotten? And that's when Professor Cypher was sort of casually walking along the deck of the Repentless, and your senses tuned into that in this moment of communion with Zuvawau, the spirit or the goddess of the very earth, the lands itself. And you heard, I don't know, as he was muttering something to himself. There was a short exchange, and Professor Cypher, introspection and continued on. And then your third question was, are there others like you? Speaking to Zuvawau. And that's when you were descending through some clouds and everything got really foggy and kind of hard to see. Maybe vague shapes in the mists, but those were your answers, apparently.
With Celine's help, I'm sure, because very not bright.
Now for Celine and also for Loki, we had bookmarked a moment in time where you were talking with Selter in the treasury room of the Repentless, and well, you returned her things, and she was going to make good on making sure that you were equipped. I do have the list from you pulled up here, and I'm going to need this open as well because you all might want to go shopping for Loki as well. I mean, I know Norelai does, but Norelai is 1/4 of the party. 1/5, depending if you want to count Loki. Oh no, that's right. Let me do that. Actually, I can do this real quick because I think I had
A sheet.
I think I had a blank sheet that. Yeah, there is. If you look, there should be a sheet. Oba-G Grufo. That's at least in your player journal. Let's say, can be edited by though. Hang on one second. That's important.
Yeah, edited by should be.
Save changes. Open. Okay. So in player's journal and can be edited by Norelai. What we had done as well, so lethality for you, it was kind of some recap and setting us up for this next part. So we were they were testing Loki's skills to see what he remembers and what he can do, and this was a translation from out of character terms to in character of how do we want to stat him? What is he going to be as a member of the team? And the final determination was because at least part of them, if not all of them, still had to be a Gulak. But he was going to be a rogue warlock, multi-class.
Yep, I did. Okay. I did pick that.
So Dark Wolf through Norelai is going to be inputting some things for his sheet. Now. I don't want to delay the story while that happens. So obviously Loki can come along. If something happens, we can include him as best we can. But yeah, it'll be a little bit to make a level 18 character from scratch. So, however,
you just used a level 18 character, man. So
yeah. And we can fill in other details later. Although I guess something that would be more than just a generic character build would be if you do want to expend any party funds on magic items for Loki, because Selter doesn't owe Loki anything, and so but you can buy from the treasury. Now as well, Casimir made an appearance on the ship. And in short, he said, I'm very upset, Rar. I have a bunch of extra scars on me because Mercury stole Tam, my wife, and I want her back. And really, Casimir came to see Selter, and Selter's all about Casimir. I mean...
yeah, she is.
Yeah, I mean, she got a little excited in his presence, and so she's very happy to do this for Casimir. And you are too, as Chroma Company sort of insinuated itself into this deal as well. Like, we'll help you. And Casimir said, "Look, if you help me, I'll help you because I want Tam back, and you don't have to trust me on anything else, but this I will commit to." And he went off to continue trying to track her down, and leaving you all to do what you're going to do. And the thought was, let's take the Repentless and bring it down here, and just maybe land and search, because there was one of the energy towers in Mask of Storms, and go from there. However, the tower did appear to be dim, and well, that's
just like the other one.
Yeah, like the other one. So the thought was to move on from there. So that is the current now. You are aboard the Repentless. It is sunset. You are in. And the Repentless has the Cypher downloadable skin on it, so that you're not being shot out of the sky for being a giant horrible monster.
We're a regal Shadowheart Imperator class ship, and nothing else.
Yeah, just don't look under that thin veneer. But yes, so we have that moment though in the short past where if you wanted to say anything to Casimir, or if you wanted to interact with DJ or Selter, you can, Celine, or as the professor, to interact with the professor, or to, well, if this is going on, the professor might know this or whatever. So, because you kind of have your half character then, right? So Noralai has her brother as a half character. You still have Cypher. So if there's anything that you need to resolve roleplay wise, or to hem, haw, or haggle about with the treasury and the funds, you can do so. Because there were some also things that were like sold and converted, and there was some like money switching going on as well.
Mm-hmm.
So on your list, Celine, you had the boots of that was Winterlands. Boots of Elvenkind are absolutely fine. So you can get those, and those can be in a style that would serve you, as there are probably several different pairs. So if you have a particular look, it would be all cosmetic. But then you were looking for a Sentinel shield. And let me go to that real quick.
It's a shield that helps me look good.
Holding the shield, you have advantage on initiative rolls and perception checks. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Now...
You're a magical shield that does the beat.
Okay, so what we will do is a shield like this, it's uncommon, it's absolutely fine in the slots, though it has the symbol of an eye. What we would probably do, even if this would end up, well, I don't know if this would make Celine cringe or not, but it would have more of the arcane eye, or like the death eye of Weejas. So she has the half skeleton face, and she has the glowing eye. A shield like this, given the region, or the the makers from whom it was plundered, as the Repentless consumed the ship or building or whatever. So this shield would have a symbol of Weejas on it, and the glowing undead eye would be the source of the Sentinel magic.
Yeah, that's fine.
So
it would make Celine cringe, but
well, yeah, mechanically it is what it is.
But,
now, if you want to
now.
alter it or something, maybe that's I'm I'm not saying you don't have downtime to do downtime activities, but it's, you know, what you want to do with the time that you have. So yeah, it does have it will have an emblazoned face of the goddess of death and magic on it there, providing you sentinel abilities. Then we had a ring of evasion. Mm-hmm. 3 charges. When you fail a dex saving throw while wearing it, you can use your reaction to expend one of the charges. To succeed instead. Yeah. Oh, solid rare. Did you check? Are your attunement slots good?
Yeah.
Okay.
I made my choices with those in mind.
Okay. And then lastly was an amulet of the devout.
Yes, +3.
+3.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the
Looks like the one that I have.
that'll be in Tasha's.
That's in I do not have that immediately
I sent
available.
You a copy of Tasha's.
So, it's in a different folder. All right, can you give me the what's the?
The rundown.
I have the text.
Okay, yeah. If you can just throw it up.
You would have the text, yeah.
Yeah, because I already have it.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, it's basically like the cleric slash paladin equivalent of the Rob of the Pack Keeper.
Yeah.
Instead of a spell slot, it's it's 1 channel divinity use per dawn extra.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, and Mordecai has one of these already, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. What was the origin of your amulet, Mordecai?
I manifested with it, so.
Okay.
It was originally a Ouija's one, but I specifically made it aesthetically in the image of a Death's Head hawk moth.
Yeah. Then
And he repurposed it.
okay.
Yeah.
Let's do this. You manifested with it, and you have been very actively role-playing in the discovery of your faith, of asking these questions, of exploring it. And what we can do then as, I guess, a way to manifest this as well, because this would be an object of your faith and not something that someone else has made or was, gobbled up by the Repentless in a piratical raid. You can awaken, because this is kind of going back in time. So this is probably back in the Dragon Valley before you're being picked up by Selter or something. Like we'll wiggle it in there, but the concept is your amulet copied itself, or like you have a complementary, if not an exact copy. So if you want to like aesthetically, like I don't know, link them up, like do some sort of like a yin yang, or if you want it to be a copy and this is what it is, then that's fine too. If it's a sort of a replica, as your faith continues to grow. But at some point in time, you will find that you have 2 of these amulets now, and that you are more than welcome to give one to your beloved and very well remembered Celine. Yeah.
Yep. So
I mean, we could do the yin yang thing because that's what that's the kind of the dynamic we were going for in the first place.
Right.
The Shepherd and the Reaper.
Right. And like I've always kind of like symbolically put them as like the sun and moon kind of like opposition.
Which is actually really, really funny given where the name Celine comes from.
And so well, I guess it kind of depends on what aesthetically it would look like, but Mordecai's looks like the Death's Head hawk moth, which has a moon symbol, like, because I have a little pin, it also has a moon symbol on it. It's very hard to see, but it has a moon symbol on it. So it could be similar, just like a sun symbol instead.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's if you still want it to be a winged creature, or I'll you
I'll leave
alone,
that up to
Coffee,
Lethality.
are
I'm
very
not gonna-
creative, but I'm sure between you and Lethality, you can come up with some kind of a cool.
Thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do your Power Ranger coins look like? So, what animals do you want as a Megazord? So, all right. So then,
Those are ninjas.
just as other things are wont to grow, faith or love, it would seem that in this case, whatever this symbol is and what it means to you, and your use of it, you have found that it too has grown, and that you have been able to make or to produce this manifestation of it. As there are now two where there was once one.
All right.
And then, yeah, so mechanically, Celine, you got one of those things.
Yep.
But now it super plays into the story and is a fitting reward and all the other fun stuff. Okay, so you are equipped. There is the question of what Loki may want. So Dark Wolf, if I don't know if you had things in mind or if you're just kind of poking around.
I do. I do have a few things in mind. I chose a few based on the two uncommons, the one rare and one very rare that
Okay.
you gave everyone.
Yeah.
So my options were Bracer of Archery, Sending Stones, those are both uncommon. For the rare, Mantle of Spell Resistance, mostly because it looked a lot like the one I drew on him. and then for very rare, the Oathbow.
You cut out very rare was what?
Oathbow.
An oath bow?
Yep. If it's a bow that swears vengeance against your enemies.
Oh, does it give you advantage on attacks with it or something?
Extra damage, I think.
Extra damage?
Let me go back to it.
Oath bow. Ah, there we go. Knock an arrow. Whispers in Elvish. Swift defeat to my enemies. Range attack.
I can't get an Oathbow, I'll probably just swap it out for like a +1 weapon or something.
But very rare, you could go plus. I mean, a very rare.
Yeah.
You can, if you want to put something else in the very rare slot and then change one of your uncommons out for a +1 weapon. But a very rare plus weapon is a +3.
+3 weapon.
Yeah, it would just be bog standard +3 if you're not going to, we can't do Oathbow.
I mean, I'm sure there's. Where's that?
Well, it's more a fact of if we can't afford Oathbow, I can go for a cheaper weapon.
Oh yeah, go for a cheaper weapon. And,
We have very little in the way of funds left, so.
That's why I was asking for a budget. That's why I just went with okay. I'm just gonna go with the equipment everyone else has. And we'll see what happens with it.
Gotcha. Well, as we are buying equipment, Celine, if you need like incense or anything or gems, not that you theoretically can't stop elsewhere and get them, but this is like a really good time to get like anything in the books that's mundane is there. It's in on near unlimited supply. So if you want like 300 blocks of incense for something mad and fabulous, you can get 300 blocks of incense if you want, and they would be at all book price.
Let's have a look.
So yeah, if you need mundane stuff, this is the time to get it before you go down, because some cities might not have it or whatever.
Yeah.
I have so many crickets.
So many crickets.
It has so many crickets.
summons a swarm of crickets. Or if you want to get really destructive, a swarm of locusts.
I could just cast Insect Plague if that were the case.
Have to reset.
Insect plague. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. You could restart the browser.
All right, Norlai, I need you to roll 1d10, and this is going to help determine the expense of the bow.
Three.
All right. So the bow will cost 15,000.
Phew. We don't have that kind of pocket change.
What about the other items?
Well, I could still cash in my safe deposit box receipt, but because I haven't done that yet, but I don't know how much is in there.
Roll a d10 for the mantle.
Mantle.
5,000 for the mantle.
Wait, how much was the other?
15.
15,000.
So that's 20k. We're approaching a true resurrection price here.
Yeah, right.
Not that I have to spell, but they're approaching the price of components.
Mordecai's still researching all of that. So.
And then roll 2d5 for the other items. So 300 and 500.
So 800, so 20,800 gold all up. You better hope that this safety deposit box is filled with platinum pieces, Mordecai.
Yeah, right. Hang on. I still have 75 gold worth of other gems. 7,500 of other gems. Let me actually total up what we're looking at.
What's that again in the mantle?
That that was another benefit, by the way, Celine, is that you will get like full cash value. You can swap like 1-to-1 coinage for gems without like them saying like, oh, a 10% conversion fee, or yeah, I get it. The market value of a diamond is 500, but I can only give you 300 on it because I got to make money too.
Yeah.
So the gems that Mordecai still has on his person, as far as what we've cashed, what we have in cash is 9,800. That's not including the safe deposit box receipt. I don't know how much that is. And then there's 12 early Shadowheart coins.
Yes.
That I don't know what they're worth.
That would be something like, obviously the safe deposit box, you got to go to the bank for that, unless you want Selter to eat the bank, in which case you have a bank.
Yes, that also involves Selter eating it. And,
No. We can stop by Old Port again and go to the bank.
Well, and if the Shadowheart themselves might be the ones who could actually give you a quote on old Shadowheart coins. Because while there's a sense of cooperation and maybe even to a small degree fascination with Shadowheart culture among the Mesomaskins, if anyone can probably give you more value for old Shadowheart coins, it would be actually people from Shadowheart themselves.
Well, I mean, you do have some help in the ability to do that, because upon the ship you have one of the foremost Mesomaskin origin Shadowheart historians.
Yep.
That was his field of study.
This episode goes from like Dungeons and Dragons to like, instead of Pawn Stars, it's like Dungeon Stars, where you all come out of the dungeon with all sorts of stuff and you get it quoted at the pawn shop.
Let me call my expert.
Yeah.
Let me take a look at this.
let me sending an expert. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay, thanks, bye. I can give you 300 on it. Okay, so you have a budget for the ideal equipment. The ideal equipment can be made available. It just comes at that cost. As Selter, apparently, unless you're a large silver dragon, she's not necessarily enamored with you, and probably won't be too favorable. Because some party didn't spend their time currying favor with her and trying to redeem her. That's okay. You were busy doing other things.
We've been currying favor trying to get her things.
I've been
trying to get her things. No, we got her things.
You did. You did what was asked of you.
We nearly died in the process. Selter. So I think Mordecai's actually going to put some of his charm to use here and try and haggle the price down.
If this is from the Repentless's treasury, it's a firm no haggle. Simply because it
try anyway.
Oh no, please do try. But just as DM to player, it will be like it's available, but she won't come down on it. However, I'm always happy to have a roleplay interaction. So we can.
I mean, we could get the bracers and the oath bow because those are actually pretty cheap here, according to the rules.
The oath bow was 15,000. We don't have 15,000 in hand at the moment.
Well, I'm saying according to the rules, it's cheaper to get it here than somewhere else.
Yeah, because it could possibly cost 50,000. So in this case, the oath bow on the Repentless is actually quite a deal.
Pretty, yeah. I can trade some things. I have the marvelous pigments, and we have the universal solvent too.
Yes.
And a dried up piece of Casimir's wing.
But doesn't Bright need that?
Yeah, it's like pure silver.
Why do I need it?
Weren't you going to use it to scry on him?
I mean, everybody likes marvelous pigments. But why?
If you wanted to scry on Casimir, do you want his little bit of wing membrane?
Oh yeah, we have to hang on to that for sure.
Oh.
But you're talking about the magic items, and I'm like, wow, the marvelous pigments are marvelous, and also pigments, but we don't really need them.
Yeah. And the universal solvent.
We were thinking we might be able to do cool stuff with the universal solvent, but who knows? Maybe not.
I don't know.
Well.
And I still have most of the chalice that I use for Heroes Feast, so I could sell that too, if we wanted to.
It's up to you all. This is your time to your moment in time to do that before we snap back to your descent over the southern portion of the island. And from here, you're gonna have to decide: do you want to go to Old Port, or do you want to continue this way, or follow the mountains?
It's up to you, Dark Wolf. No lie.
We
What do
should
you
go to
want?
Old Port.
to go to Oldport. Okay.
All right. The city that we
Just came
kind
from.
of leveled a little bit.
We didn't level it.
You
I said a little bit.
you leveled it.
That's overstating the case.
I said a little bit, little
But
leveling.
me and
little,
Brian fixed
little leveling.
So.
Look, a fish, at least a bunch of fishes would have taken at least a couple of buildings.
Look, just don't say anything. No one knows.
I'm not planning on it.
Okay. No one knows we were involved.
Yes, and culpa. Yes, and the level of mea culpa drops to 0.
I mean, it's not like I'm gonna get more wanted.
You know, that's true.
We're not exactly wanted figures at the moment.
Bright is.
I mean, you're not.
I'm sure
To be fair,
they've
you guys
forgotten
have
about that
kind
by
of been
now.
missing for a while. So.
Yeah, I think they're too busy worrying about their imminent demise.
I don't think anybody's worrying about their imminent demise nearly enough. If you really think about it, Celine, not everyone seems to be a little laissez-faire about the whole situation regarding our world.
Yeah, correct.
Then Oldport is the next destination.
Hmm.
Okay.
I'm at least gonna cash in that receipt.
Yeah.
Will we have a long rest on the way?
You had a long rest on your way across the sea to get to the southern tip of the island.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I'm just wondering if there's. Okay, so I don't have the right spells for Oldport.
Well, I mean, the destination that you had chosen, the spells you probably, like, whatever you had, was because you were theorized to go to Mask of Storms and maybe even stop in that city. Since if we actually zoom the map out here, because you made your way up from the Dragon Graveyard to here, because you're going to start at the tip of the mask. Check on the tower, because you were making an association with Mercury and her lightning and fire, and then you were just descending down through the clouds, and it was a beautiful sunset, looking out, to the west as the sea was getting lit up by the setting sun. You descended down, and you saw that the tower here was also not active. But I don't know what you had prepared, but I think you had locked in your portents and everything from the trip from the Dragon Graveyard back to Mesomasca.
Yeah, oh, I did. That's why I was asking if we got another one.
Not another one from from that. But,
Okay.
I believe in your creativity with whatever you chose for your spells for the day.
Oh my, yes. It's gonna be lots of fun.
All right. Oh, actually, so Oldport, you make your way back. No one is harassing you. As you do get close, it will take a couple hours for you to go over the lands. The closer you get to Oldport, there are of course other airships, big and small. A couple of them are going to fly past the Repentless, because it is still, it is not a giant flying monster, but it is a giant flying airship that no one, like, the Shadowheart, like, it's not on their registry. It's not like people have necessarily seen it before. So, but you're not getting attacked or harassed, but you definitely are getting eyeballs as people are just kind of going by on their on their boats and checking it out. You get some whistles and waves and whatever. Just it is what it is. And the Repentless is well, you know where you can dock because it just so happens that Gaspard has his custom I guess floating dock for airships, as he has been having dealings with the Shadowhar.
And I'm going to go and cash in that receipt.
Okay.
That's really all I'm here for.
Well, it is going to be after hours for the bank. It is nighttime now. The sun has set.
We'll have to wait.
You'll have to spend the night in the city.
Who does that?
But I mean, there's a nice orphanarium in town you can stay at.
Yeah, it's true.
We can see if the secret base has been. I mean, we can check on the progress of the construction.
All right, so you all disembark through. You are met. There are 2 Kyburners that are here that are attending the airship docks. These are ones that you have not seen before. Like, there's just a couple of structural things that they just appear a little bit more different. They're consistent with each other, but they're not consistent with the original 6 that you had seen before. So at some point in time, he might have been tinkering and working on a different model or a new model, but these must be them as they're animated. You are welcomed with gestures, though these ones don't have words, like even that first prototype did. But at least they're showing bodily communication instead of just, I'm a robot, I do a task. Pick up that lumber, move that stone. You actually are getting like a bow and greeting and a gesture, like a please walk this way.
That's interesting.
Yeah, that's pretty cool, but I wonder how it works.
Right. Well, I'm gonna make sure to also cast Temple of the Gods here, so that we have that established here. And it's gonna be very similar to the one that we saw back in the 6 Landlords village.
Oh. Okay. Now
Very simple.
Here I don't presume like Gaspard's airship dock.
No.
Okay.
At the Orphanarium.
Okay.
where we had done it before.
Okay. So yep, you walk back through town. There's still a tension, because it's only been a couple days really since the last time you were here, because you traveled, and then there was a little bit of a time skip in the Fey Cave Revisited. But here also the tower's still not working. What's that?
By the way, how many days did it take for us to get back?
I believe it was, because you went to the southern tip. I think it was just the one.
I have to update days that I'm 3 strength.
Yes.
Okay.
And I guess as you're arriving, like you're arriving at night, I guess you could say it would have been 2 to get back. Like in a couple hours, if you're counting midnight as the next day, like I guess it would have been 2, because all you had done was reach the southern tip, which is the closest part to the Dragon Graveyard. And now that you're up here, so okay. I guess when you go to sleep, it'll have been 2 days, and you'll wake up with one more officially dropped off.
2 days left.
But yeah, you still have weak baby arms.
Baby arms.
You don't see the overt bouts of violence. There are still, though, like people are walking in groups together in town. You're seeing Shadowhar. I mean, it was always kind of like that anyway, but Shadowhar walking with Shadowhar. those mesomaskins are sticking together, and there's just a tense feeling in the air that all of you are picking up in the different ways that you would through your characters. So we get back to the area that was leveled in a mysterious earthquake during the undead invasion, and creating cheap prime realty for the construction of an orphanarium, conveniently enough. And it's here that, you all can flop down into beds. There has been continued construction. While it's been less than a week, the Kyburners, if nothing else, actually, this is another good reminder of just how continuous they can operate, especially as a team, because there's been a lot of progress compared to what you would get normally with, flesh and blood people working. So there's been some more advancements, some more structural, elements have been built. In fact, you're also seeing Norlai as you walk in during your time away. The places that have been like the load-bearing walls and like the actual the necessities have been in place, and you're starting to see some of the decor being installed that was given to you by the ossuary in your dealings with the Faith of Weejas. So you're actually getting not just the functionality, you're getting some of the niceties or some of the decor. And it looks like the contemplation room that was bargained for is starting to be installed.
Yeah, I didn't want too much religious stuff, but they also paid a lot.
Yeah, because we don't exactly want to turn this into another chapel, right? That's not necessary in this city.
Nope. Not.
There's plenty of shrines and temples and things already. A city this large.
Oh, Celine, there's your skull.
Oh, yeah, that is here.
By the way.
Yeah.
That's odd.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't understand how. I mean, everybody always seems to have the wrong skulls. I mean, Lorelei was in the tank, and then we had her skull, and then Celine is here, but then there's also her skull, and then I used to just be a skull. Mordecai, you're the only one whose skull is right.
I used to be a vampire, though, so there's that.
That doesn't affect your skull. Just your teeth.
Ooh.
Well, teeth are part of the skull.
Teeth are part of the skull, though.
I mean, no.
I don't
So
know.
none of us are right in the head. Got it.
He goes to check his teeth just to make sure that he doesn't have fangs anymore.
Yeah.
He's a little.
Yeah, I kind of.
I'm still right.
Although I will say, as you're walking through here, it's the places are where they need to be, and you all will have a bed you can go to. There's no one who's necessarily out working. In fact, you didn't see Gaspard, unless you really went out of your way. He didn't greet you, and he's not obviously available. So he's off somewhere doing something. But if I can find what I called the map here. As you're doing this, and Norlai, you even turn to Celine, and you're like, oh, so yeah, that's your skull. They wanted to install your skull here. There's a moment.
I thought that was a little odd. Oh, I was just saying, I thought that was a little odd that they would insist on that.
Yeah.
Yes.
There's a moment, Norlai, when you have a flash goes through as you recall this dream that you had where, well, you were a skull. installed in the Orphanarium. And you can see it's not as elegant as this, but with the construction supplies that are still sitting out and the various decorative elements that haven't been installed, just the kind of pattern that they made, like you might have a lot of pieces of lumber stacked up against the wall, and it just sort of reminds you of these candelabras. You can see that there's just other things as well that have been primed to end up decorating this place. And just in this moment, I don't know if it's a chill or just an existential dread or a moment of somber reflection where this place was very much alive with children and you were very much not alive, and mounted on the wall for, well, also of all the people that you're looking for, Miss Mercury, to see.
So you know how we were talking about dreams that one time?
Yeah.
My dream was in this room.
I don't know that you went into great detail about what yours was about.
Well, basically, I was talking with some kids in the Orphanarium, and I was telling them stories, and they were asking questions, and so in my dream, maybe some of us died.
It's a natural part of life.
Well, no, like fighting something.
Well, I would hope not. I hope
Yeah,
that we're actually successful at removing Sho'neuroth.
Yeah, Miss Mercury was here?
She was?
Yeah.
That's odd.
So maybe we can try not dying against Miss Mercury so she won't be here? Because she wouldn't be a very good child care person. No.
Yeah, I'm trying to imagine what that would be like.
No, it's not very nice.
Well, I mean, she did raise two sons that turned out okay.
Well,
One of
no.
them's dead now, so.
Actually,
Well, I mean,
Bambardalis
yeah,
raised
still.
them.
Well,
But then there's Fairy and Fairy siblings, and they ended up dead.
Yeah, so I don't
Mercury leaves a
want her to-
trail in her wake. And kind of out of a little bit of, like, suspicion and a little bit of paranoia, Mordecai is gonna quietly cast Locate Creature for Mercury, and hope
on the download.
she's not here. And hope that she's not actually here.
Very sly to wipe you,
He's
to have you use your wiping nervous sweat from your brow as a somatic component. You expend the spell, and to your relief, Mercury does not show up.
And he is relieved to find that is not true. Well, she's not here now. We don't have to worry about that. So, the best thing that we can do for ourselves is get some sleep, and then move on to trying to find Tam in the morning.
How morning are we talking?
How morning are you wanting to sleep in?
Well, I wanted to go see Hiran, and Loki hasn't met him yet, and we were thinking of getting Loki some horn tips to cover up his broken horn.
Oh, that'd be fun. You can even get little hinges, and he could keep stuff in there.
Oh, like, Mordecai wouldn't know that, actually.
Yeah. Well, you've been on that ship.
Have I met that captain? I don't remember.
Yeah, you've been there. Because we took that ship again before Selter had the Repentless. We used it to sail.
Oh, right. Okay, I wasn't sure if Mordecai had actually met that person or not. I remembered as a player. But yeah, well, I can set up a little shrine on the kind of in the alley like we did before for Zuviwao, just to kind of get rid of some of this Ouija energy. It's a little too death surrounding around here. Let's bring a little life to this place.
Yeah, maybe we should put some flowers.
Plants would be nice, actually.
Yeah.
There's not enough plants in this city.
Yeah, there really's not.
Never really was a very green thumb, though. I'm terrible at that.
Well, I'm good at that.
Yeah, fortunately, I'm pretty good with plants.
Well, that's good. At least one of us is.
I hope you're not looking at me.
Most forest gnomes are. We live in plants after all, so we kind of have to be. But
Celine, you're not a green thumb. You were never much of a plants person.
gee, why am I not surprised?
She just holds up her hand, and there's that little flash of dark energy. Like, you think this hand right here, is good for gardening?
You know, you'd think someone who's good at being a doctor would be. Oh wait.
Oh my.
Plus, Mordecai, you know this is her
Mordecai.
vampiric touch finger. Come on.
Ouch.
We just looked at. Really?
Yeah,
Really?
It's not my fault you're a failed doctor.
Ow. Don't lie. That's not exactly nice.
It's getting sassy in
I'm
here.
not failed.
Yeah, disgraced is totally not the same as failed.
Exactly.
Place.
I've delivered plenty of babies. Bright
You have?
would know.
Yeah, actually that went really well. Everybody survived. There was only the usual amount of blood. You know, it was okay.
No.
That happened on Lily Welland's gamble on our way into Basket Flowers
Yeah.
all those years ago.
God, it's years.
To be fair, we were like,
I mean, I mean, imagine how Bright feels. I mean, Bright was stuck in hell for thousands of years.
I mean, yeah, it's still been years. Those are still years.
Yeah, it kind of feels like I only met you all this last year. A year,
Yeah.
maybe? I lost track
no,
of this shit.
Yeah,
Maybe
it's
a
been
few
about like 3-4 years,
Yeah,
give or take.
from different
yeah,
perspectives.
but some of them were skipped.
Some of them are, well, from my perspective, I feel like I have actually only played out about a year.
we're
That's
going
my
out of character.
perspective,
Yeah, no, it's been about probably a year-ish.
Yeah, minus
Because like there was the 2 years we were disappeared, and then the half year you two were disappeared.
which didn't feel like half a year.
Felt like
Were
felt
we
like-
actually in the?
It felt like
Were we actually
moments.
in the cave very long?
Going into that temple?
No, the spider cave. How long were we in the spider cave?
It only felt like a day.
Yeah, I think it was like, oh. How long were we in there? Damn it! I knew I had to ask Salter something.
Does someone want to ask Selter how long it took us to get her stuff back?
I think she and Cypher said something about a couple of days.
Yeah, it was just a couple of days.
Okay, so not that long. Could have been longer.
We
though.
weren't stuck there for ages and ages.
Oh, good. I would hate to lose more time. I'm already
we are
aging
against
as
the
it is.
Yeah, against
I
the
think
wall.
you guys lost time in the fairy cave too.
Fairy
Or one of
cave.
the fairy caves. The one
Which
with Orlans. I wasn't there, but I know what happened.
Oh,
you mean
that one
Oh,
was-
you mean when I died?
Yeah.
You say that so nonchalantly.
Oh,
Well,
yeah.
that's the
You had
pattern, though,
you had
right?
my bones.
Nobody's worried
I was
about their doom.
there, but I wasn't
Look.
there. But I know what happened.
Mordecai.
I know that Bright chewed on my bones, and it's weird.
I didn't chew on your bones.
You did.
I mean,
Used
you
your
did.
bones
I mean,
to
you
chew
did.
on other things.
You did. I mean, you did grind up a diamond with her skull.
I'm
Let's
surprised it
get
was
the
that
cause
hard,
and effect
actually.
correct, at least.
The
Mordecai.
strange things that have happened to us. Yeah, still.
Mordecai, my darling, look. Given the nature of our profession, I've never been afraid of death.
I
But
know that.
now it's like a literal walk in the park.
That is how you met her again. She was walking through the park when you were fighting Raphael.
Yeah. Very true. Very true. I forgot
Your
about
your sense of humor never ceases to amaze me. It does a number on those left behind, let's just say.
I bet.
But moving on to other things, I'm gonna go and set up that shrine with that spell. So I will return shortly, and he's going to go outside in the alley and set up the spell for Temple of the Gods.
All right.
You know, you remember when we saw the volcano? And, you know, it's a whole thing. Mercury was there too, and she was working with the young emperor. I wonder if maybe she's more maternal than we gave her credit for. Or maybe she just wants to bring up the new generation in an environment where they worship her instead of Ouijas.
I don't think she should be around children.
Given that Ouijas has the power that she has as far as, you know, the faith that people can put into her and actually manifest something out of it, I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, Bambardelus was a sort of patron or recipient of her power before. Are
Of course, Lily
patrons
would be,
any?
though.
Are patrons like Orlans and Mercury really any different from Ouijas? They're just powerful entities that have a modicum of power that they can grant upon others. Sho'neuroth did the same thing for Jade.
Yeah. I don't know. I
I
think it's
think.
different.
Jade felt like she was a slave to Sho'neuroth, I think.
Yeah. Well, she kind of was. I mean, not really, but also yes. She didn't really have. I mean,
She
she
didn't
was
really
so
have a free will of
damaged
her
that she
own.
didn't have her own agency anymore. But she wasn't like Sho'neuroth didn't give her orders. Not really.
Kind of. Destroy Fae, destroy vampires.
Well, yeah, but those were good orders.
Except Mordecai was a vampire at the time.
Yeah, but she
except I was
didn't
a
destroy
vampire at the
Mordecai,
time.
so it all worked out. See, that just proves my point. She didn't destroy Mordecai. She threatened to all the time, but she never did. So
She very well could have.
Yeah, but she didn't.
I'll just point out that Sho'neuroth was controlling my brother. And she just gestures over to Loki, who's just standing there.
I am here.
I mean, that's true.
Made him do bad things.
Yeah, taking away a person's freedom is not ideal. I generally am against the usurpation of someone's free will.
Yeah, everybody says that when they don't know how to do it.
I can be charming. I can sway people to what I want them to do in a given circumstance. I just often don't want to.
Yeah, I can also sway people to do what I want them to do.
Generally try and stay away from that. Make people make their own choice.
It's not even that hard. I try not to do it too much.
Yeah, it's just one of those things that I just try and avoid because magic can make you feel like you're the most powerful being in the world, and you're not.
It's just looking at her feet, kicking the dirt.
Don't get me wrong, Bright. You are exceptionally brilliant. You're just... We really shouldn't just let it go to our heads, though.
Yeah, you're right, of course. I mean, I do try not to do it. It's just, sometimes... I don't know.
Sometimes what?
I hardly ever do it. So, I mean, you're right, I agree with you. It's just so, it's so easy to fall into those habits.
That's the temptation, isn't it? Get into the habit and you start thinking about the consequences less and less. It just becomes rote, becomes mundane, becomes, this person isn't worth anything.
Yeah, I mean, I only really think about the consequences when we talk about maybe going to Mask of Horrors.
Yeah. That's probably a thing that they've long forgotten about, right?
I don't know. Maybe.
They probably have other pressing matters.
I could always encourage them to forget about it. That's totally not like breaking someone's will. Completely different.
Well, I can definitely say that. I can definitely say that there were some devilish and fiendish influences that tried to make me forget about Celine.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the devil made me do that. I don't know how that.
One that was disguised as Corinna and erased my memories.
I'm sorry. Did it at least feel better? not have to remember all those hard things?
Ooh. That's a good question.
Because people say that all the time, right? I wish I could forget about something. But then, if they did, what would it be like?
But then I still had Celine's journal in my possession. I mean, it's not like I forgot that she existed. It's that I forgot that I had feelings for her.
That's just
And
weird.
it's one of those things where it was just poking at my brain, like, why would she give this to me if we didn't necessarily care about each other? Like, it was always nagging at me. It wasn't necessarily that I was feeling the grief or feelings at the time. It was a nagging feeling. Nothing made sense in the given context in which things were being framed to me at the moment. It was just odd. And, you know, I'm the kind of person who kind of noticed oddities a lot. I kind of do now, but not nearly as much. But the oddness of things just sticks out to me. And when something doesn't settle right, it bothers me.
Oh, I can totally understand that. It's like seeing the wrong future. Right? And then you're like, oops, nope, that's not the right one. It's a different one.
Right.
But then it goes away. If you were stuck with that for months and months, that would be terrible. That would be some serious Mandela effect problems.
And so, but you realize that all of the oddity that's going on in the world right now, no one's noticing it. Everyone's ignoring the weirdness of the world.
Well,
except
they're
us.
some parts of it. Yeah.
They're ignoring that the climate of this entire region is changing.
Well, people are good at ignoring that sort of thing.
But it's happened over the course of, 3 years?
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about this before, right? Like, some of the older elves should at least have stories. At least, if they don't remember themselves, at least maybe from their grandparents about how
things used to be.
Things used to be, but nobody does.
Like, we don't live in a highly populous area of elves, but who knows? Were people like this in Islandia when you lived there, Celine?
Well, that's a very good question.
It's difficult to remember, huh?
Not that I want to remember.
Were your parents like that?
My parents were a lot of things.
Right. You don't speak to them anymore. And haven't for years, I guess.
Many.
Wait, you're only... how old?
Oh wow, I'm trying to remember how old I made Celine.
Accidental or purposeful, this is the type of role-playing I love. You're only proving my point. I win either way.
The sort of thing you would typically know at least before you get married. I mean, it's not polite to ask just in public, but usually you know. And
well, you all know that I'm 30.
I mean, if she's older than you, it's okay. No one will judge.
Yeah, but you don't look 30.
No.
Norlai, Loki whispers to you thank you, because if you didn't say it, I would
No, I know. He looks old now.
Excuse me. I look dignified. Thank you.
You look old.
Exalted even. But no, I'm
Old.
my 30
He's
now.
not old, he's just
did I
extra
turn
grown up.
30? I mean, I don't know. I spent a portion of that time dead. But when you met me, I was in my mid-20s.
Okay. I was slightly concerned.
Also, like, the bones she has aren't the same age as her.
No, like, yeah. Corinna was 20, 19-ish when she died.
Look, can we talk about that? Can we not talk about the fact that I'm using somebody else's bones right now?
No,
Like,
it's weird. I think we should keep bringing it up.
No, I don't think we should, Lorelai.
You're embarrassing me in front of my own skull.
Yeah, that's another oddity of this world a little bit. There's just a lot of strange things. But
You're asking me questions and I don't have the answers.
yep. Nobody really does. We just kind of accept it and move on. But it's still good questions to ask.
Look, when it comes to half the things that we've experienced, 5 people in the world left who know what that is, and I'm not one of them. Unfortunately, for the most part, usually I am one of them.
I'm not sure what you're getting at now, but yeah, the world in general just ignores oddities and moves on with their lives.
It's like the it's like the the concept of the land's name.
She just threw a bunch of letters at me and just said, "Spell it."
I'm pretty sure it's supposed to be Zuluvor. Yeah.
Ooh,
You know, I don't know if you actually have the letters in the right order.
No. I'm not going to use the Shadowheart pronunciation, I'm sorry.
But it sounds so much better.
What?
Zuluvia.
I bet that's what the Cypher would call it.
I mean, I think they're all pretty fun to say. Zuluvia, Zuluvia, what?
How about we just call her the Wild Mother and just call it that?
Look,
Nah.
you know, I don't know whether to laugh or find that exceptionally blasphemous, right? Both?
I mean,
Both. Both is
yeah,
good.
yeah, both. I'm good with both.
Well, recently asked her if there were more like her, and she doesn't really know.
Well, considering she's been kept in the dark for...
It's sick. Who knows how long Sho'neuroth's been here? Just festering. And suddenly decided that it wants to surface. We still don't even know how long ago it is that, you know, mankind was created, really. Or how long ago it was that the dragon started doing shit.
It's too bad we can't talk to Mr. Halver about it.
He would be a helpful insight. What name?
Yes,
We could always.
He is a what we would call extremely dead.
We've talked to dead dragons before.
Yeah, we might be able to get him on the.
Speak with dead phone.
Yeah, well, not just necessarily speak with dead. Although, I mean, wait, didn't we try to dig him up once, and he was gone, or is that my imagination?
We were gonna go
back
find
to
his
the beach.
body, yeah.
And
wait,
I mean, we
you
just
lost Mr.
really need
Halbert?
the skull. Hey, more skulls! We just really need his skull. We could ask that. That's all we really need is to find out.
We know where he is.
Well, we know where we buried him, but I don't know. Have we been back there?
It's not really that far.
No, it's not.
No.
We could take some owls or even just get some horses and ride out there.
Would you like to go back to the site where you died, Norlai?
I didn't die, I was kidnapped, and you guys didn't notice.
No, you were a skeleton. You definitely died.
No, I was kidnapped. There's a big difference.
We were made to assume that
noticed.
you died. We were made to assume that you had actually perished. How were we supposed to know differently?
I don't know.
Your skin had come off. Your skin and flesh had come off of your bones, Norlai. We thought you had been disintegrated.
Oh, wasn't.
Sho'neuroth, you don't think that Sho'neuroth has the power to disintegrate people?
I wasn't kidnapped by Sho'neuroth.
We thought so.
It was Mercury, but we thought it was Sho'neuroth at the time.
Yeah, because it was in that place, and Jacob and I were trying to get to you, and we couldn't. By the time the bubble burst, you were nothing but bones.
Yeah, and then Bright tried to eat those bones.
He didn't eat the bones.
Shoot on them. I am fully aware of this.
I tried to use them to grind up a diamond. It's not the same.
No, that was a different instance. I wasn't happy about that either.
I mean, to be fair, you did try to use her skull.
I think.
Gonna have to use modified memory on Norlai.
Yeah, you're getting
He's bringing this stuff up all the time. Yeah.
It's the only way I can ever live this down.
Make it like it never happened.
No, you'll have to use it on everyone, because I've mentioned it several times. We all know what happened.
But you're the only one who's hung up on it, Norlai.
Well, yeah, you would be hung up on it too if you tried to if someone tried to chew on your bones.
Look, my own skull is sitting literally 5 feet over there.
Exactly. You're hung up on it.
No!
Literally.
No, the skull is hung up on the wall. It's completely different.
That's what I...
It's very different. It's not like she's staring at it continuously.
No. No, I am not.
No,
Why?
because she has an existing set of bones that she's already walking around in. What does she need that one for?
Puppetry.
That's a little macabre.
Good. It was meant to be macabre.
Necromancy is
Alas,
a weird
poor
thing I
Steve.
don't...
Oh, no, I
Never
mean, like,
macabre.
actually, like, literally sticking my hand up and physically puppeteering the jaw. I'm not talking about necromancy.
That's more macabre somehow.
And yet so much
No, no.
less blasphemous.
I mean, it's your own skull. You can do whatever you want with it.
We haven't even thought to try and cast Speak with Dead with it.
I don't think it would work.
If Celine casts Speak with Dead on Celine's own skull, does Celine talk to Celine?
I don't think it works like that for the fact that I'm technically alive-ish.
Yeah, but the skull isn't.
Technically?
I mean, it's not a soul thing, right? It's just a.
No, it is.
It's a
just
body thing.
No,
Yeah,
it
it's
is.
purely a
When
body
you
thing.
do speak with death, the soul is like temporarily called back to.
No.
So
there's
if we
no
do that, do you
soul.
pass out?
I don't know that we want to really.
Oh my god! Am I
I
going to cast speak with death on my own skull?
No, we don't have to do this
I want to do
experiment.
experiments.
I want to see what happens.
You know.
Why did I bring it up?
You know what? Screw it.
But I'm curious.
Where is it? Where is it? There
I
it is.
feel bad because I am a curious tinkerer.
I'm casting speak with the.
All right.
And
I'm gonna cast
it's only
speak
the
with
memories
death
of
on
the
my own
body,
skull.
isn't it?
That's a corpse of your choice. Yeah, so that doesn't work. Oh, only its animating spirit. But yeah, okay.
So it's the corpse's memories that would be there.
Yeah, so it actually doesn't work on just a skull.
Why wouldn't it work on just a skull?
It says a corpse of your choice within range.
I mean, it's
A
still.
skull is not a corpse.
Yeah, but we've kind of
doesn't matter.
Yeah, we have set
we've
a
kind of
precedent.
wiggle roomed that a little bit
Sure,
before.
sure. I'm setting the precedent. I'm casting speak with dead on my own skull.
It simply says
sorry,
that
Maddie.
the corpse must have a mouth and can't be undead. And so the precedence
That's
has
right.
been there's been a lot of skulls that have been hung up in the ossuary, but only certain ones get to keep their lower jaw, which is what by the definition would form the mouth to allow it to speak. So now, if you really want to experiment, you would actually pull the teeth out of the skull to see if it's part of it. And then
We're not doing that.
Actually, the experiment that I would use would be to make a prosthetic jaw and see if it restores their ability to talk.
Well, I'm still casting speak with dead on my own skull.
Yeah.
What if you switch jaws between two corpses?
Yeah, that's another.
I feel like I've derailed a bunch of things by bringing up this experiment.
Well,
Look, this is the
Sounds
time
great.
before we go to sleep so that we can go to the bank for you in the morning. this is fine.
Your spell settles upon your skull, and what would you like to ask it?
Wow, okay, I have to think about questions to ask my own skull.
We would only know stuff you knew beforehand.
I hope it's something juicy.
Yeah, so pre or lums. This is not a situation that I thought I would ever find myself.
Well, ask it a basic question to like, you know,
Like a
to
test
test.
question.
What's your boyfriend's name?
Didn't have one back then.
Oh, you
Excuse me.
did?
Dun dun dun.
We weren't together back then, remember?
We
That
were.
happened.
Yeah, you were for
Actually,
sure.
when
no,
you
we
guys-
were.
You
Well,
just weren't technically married yet.
it also could have been a matter of opinion. I mean, Mordecai could very well believe that they were together, and Celine could have gone along with it, but not held that belief.
Oh, no, that was my misremembering a small thing, because it's been literal years.
No, I understand, but you can
Yeah.
get an answer very much like that. Like, so what was the name of your boyfriend? And you could very well answer yourself, I didn't have one, and that could be the case, because it was, at the time, more of a one-sided thing, you know? It was... Mordecai was a
As a friend with
convenience, not a
benefits.
boyfriend. Mordecai was an appliance, not a boyfriend. You know, it's
A research subject.
He was a vampire at the time.
Well, he was, but you were back then.
He was until we went to. He was kind of until we went to the desert. Then.
Yeah, the desert happened. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, the skull would respond obviously with Mordecai because that was my misremembrance more than anything else.
okay.
Mm.
All right, that's one question.
Yep.
And it answered in my own voice.
Yeah.
That's uncanny. Do you remember what was stored under the bed in Lacuna? And the answer to that question is going to be yes.
Nice, simple answer.
It's a question you've always wanted to ask yourself.
I was gonna say, is there anything you probably forgot that the skull might remember?
Ooh. Speaking of forgetting things.
Whatever it is, I didn't do it.
Should we ask it what Bright did?
The skull responds with, "What didn't Bright do?"
Oh no, there was another one. We have 2 left.
I just kind of pet Bright.
To be fair, the context of that answer, no one knows. Not even Bright. No one knows the context of that answer. Oh wow. Yeah. I'm sorry for my apprehension, but this is unprecedented for me.
I think it's unprecedented for a lot of us. I don't think we've ever actually legitimately had external questions to ask ourselves. It's usually all up in our head that we ask ourselves questions.
Yeah, this is a weird kind of a mirror to look into, huh?
I mean, do any of you guys have questions?
I'm curious what she thinks about Ouija's.
Oh, that's a good idea. Although the skulls usually just give kind of factual answers. It's not really so much. But she could tell you. I don't know. Maybe she has a deeper knowledge of something than she had when she was alive.
Mordecai, you can get clarification on the things when Celine was like, "Yeah, my parents were a lot of things." Well,
I mean, it's Celine's spell. She's the one asking the
no,
question.
this is for you. Like, no one can stop you coming back at like 3 a.m. tiptoeing in here and casting a
spell fails if the corpse is the target of the spell within the last 10 days.
Oh.
So yes.
All right.
In 2 weeks, you can ask.
Yeah, you can ask in 2 weeks. But do you have any questions? Any of you?
I'm a little flabbergasted.
Oh, you're a little flabbergasted.
Well, I didn't expect it to work.
I mean, to be fair, that's today.
Okay, my question is, what do you think is going to happen to Casimir? Because this Celine doesn't know what Casimir does, but they know Casimir.
Oh yeah, Celine does know Casimir.
I'm just thinking, like, what would the character prediction be?
In a sense, is that like fishing for an opinion about Casimir, just so I understand, or like? Not that I'm answering.
It'd be more like, what did previous Celine think of Casimir?
Okay, that's a cool question.
Because at the time, he was a loyal party member.
And an Aslandian elf.
Yeah. Oh, ooh.
Yeah.
That's true. Was there some desert heat?
He's
He had a
probably
fun
going to
ass.
get himself killed hunting something big.
Accurate.
And that's the answer to the question. And Celine, current
We have
Celine,
one
kind of
more.
nods along. You know, I
think we have
still
one more.
maintain that he's going to get himself killed hunting something bigger than him.
I agree with you, me.
Thanks, me.
This is really weird.
We got one more.
A little bit.
Oh, just
I
you don't say.
I think we only have one question left.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Right.
Make it count.
Oh no, is there any lore bombs that Passeline would know?
Mmm.
Huh.
I know, Lethality, I know there's things you and I had talked about, and if they ask a question that is a lore bomb that you either don't remember or it's something that Celine may have known, I can answer for you. Like, speak through your mouth, very literally.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I mean, I'd have to go. I mean, if I wanted that stuff, I know we talked about it. I'd probably have to go scrolling back through PMs on
Mhm.
Discord.
Mm-hmm.
I'm considering asking if Passeline would know about any like other gods like Zubiwa, because she could have forgotten that upon death, and then when she came back, all she really knew was Ouijas.
I don't. Well, Ouijas is pretty prominent in this region, though.
Yeah.
It's not uncommon that. I mean, well, I guess. I mean, being that Ouijas is, like I said, prominent in this region, that most every temple kind of revolves around her. But I mean, this is a question to you too, Celine. Did you ever see evidence in the Drac graveyard to the contrary? That Ouijas isn't the only god? That Zubiwa is not the only god? Well, if you can call Ouijas a god at this point.
I mean, during my devotion to her, there was another god. There was another god that I did worship. I not as fervently.
Oh, that's interesting.
You guys all forget that she mentioned Ogma by name.
Yeah. They forgot.
I guess I did forget that.
And that she actually did a prayer.
Hey, Celine. What got you discredited?
You really want to know what got me discredited?
You don't have to answer that question, Celine.
No. I think it's time that you know.
I mean, you already told me, but...
And is this Celine answering, or is this do you want the skull to answer?
I'll leave that up to you. Hey, do you want the skull to answer, or is that a question to actual Celine?
If it's for me, I'd say I'd ask that directly to the skull while you guys were conversating.
Well, you can ask whatever to the skull, but the skull won't answer anyone but Celine.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, I asked directly to the skull.
Okay. But the
Celine
consideration
can
would be
choose
like
whether or not to.
the skull would have kind of like a zone of truth like effect because it can't lie. I mean, the answer might be a little weird, but
the corpse is under no compulsion to offer a truthful answer if you were hostile to it or recognizes you as an enemy.
Oh, well, all right. Well, all right. So I guess in that particular context, but yeah, it's not like a zone of truth, but it's yeah.
But Celine is also friendly to herself.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, but anyway, yeah. So
Unless she's not.
I am curious to see what past me thinks of this.
Yeah, it is a moment of time, sort of captured in that. Well, also moment of death. So is that what you want to ask your skull? And in that case, you got to tell me what the answer is. Then I'm sitting on the edge of my seat like everyone else.
Probably answer very matter-of-factly.
Parochialism. Death. Curiosity. All manner of things.
I was hoping for more of an event.
Something juicy.
Well, answers are usually brief, cryptic, or repetitive.
Fine, don't tell me.
I mean, the skull isn't wrong. I mean, Mordecai, you know better, but...
I mean, you've already shared it with me, but... That's because we kind of,
We're married.
Yeah, well, I was going to use the word sleep together, but there's that, yes.
Really? It just so happened to slip your mind that, and she holds up her left ring finger. Are you forgetting the fact that we're married? And yes,
No.
that was my ring finger and not my middle finger.
No, I didn't conveniently forget. It's just the choice of words was in the opposite order, dear.
All right.
I can cause you to get flustered if I wanted to.
Could you?
Could. But you don't have to answer specifically if you don't want to. And Norlai, it's impolite to pry.
I mean, I just want to know more about my friends is all. Is it so rude?
Well, I consider all of us like family.
No, she is right. As I had told you previously, the board discredited me for my looking into matters of faith and healing and necromancy.
Seems like one of those would probably be more unpopular than the other two.
They were men of science and did not like faith.
Yeah, that's not the one I was thinking of.
It wasn't like heavy necromancy, it was church-approved necromancy.
Like the puppeteering of skeletons, that kind of thing.
Yes.
Like walking a corpse to its own, like, burial site kind of thing.
Yes. You saw me do it in the desert.
Yeah, it's a little macabre. Not gonna lie. Even as someone who...
That's a pretty good idea, though.
As someone who has lived in a very Ouija-heavy kind of city for most of his youth, it was... Puppeteering's always been a weird kind of gray area in it. Well, we might worship Ouijas. I mean, well, worshipped in my case. Well, I can't even say that I worshipped Ouijas. I never really had a very strong connection, but...
I worship Ouijas.
But I don't know, just... Necromancy was always kind of a... We don't really cover that kind of a thing here in Mesomasca. Well, at least in Oldport, when I was living there when I was young.
Yeah, it's normally limited to the clergy.
Mm-hmm.
Of, which I was a member.
Yeah, so you kind of had split priorities.
I mean, somewhat. They also believed that because I was so steeped in death that I would not be a suitable candidate to preserve life.
Were they correct?
There's a baby out there that says that no, they're not correct.
That's fair enough.
Touche.
The other big thing was a event that happened back when I was in the academy. It was an experiment that went awry. Resulted in more than one death. And that's all that needs to be said about that.
Yeah. Burying the lead. Good, good.
Does that sate your curiosity, Narali?
I was hoping it'd be a little more juicy, but that's fine.
I mean, more than one death, that's pretty juicy.
I was just hoping for, like, gruesome details, I guess.
Yeah, it was juicy, but not very gruesome.
That's not fair.
No, that's fine. I just assumed that if Celine got kicked out of being a doctor, she did something super bad.
Well, I mean, they did walk into my laboratory once to find me elbow deep in a cadaver.
Isn't that unusual when you're a magician, though?
Well, considering where I was elbow deep a little. There was something lodged in him, and I had to unlodge it from the other side.
Right.
I don't think they were very happy with me though when I went, call your bit.
You are a strange woman.
I am satisfied.
Really? Really? I'm a strange woman, am I?
And you married her.
My dearest darling... Well, that is true, but my dearest darling Mordecai.
I asked the question. You said yes.
My dearest darling Mordecai. I must ask you, And she rests her forehead against yours. Whatever gave you that impression? And you can tell that she's being exceptionally facetious right now for the sake of,
Facetious. Just stating a fact. I didn't say this was new knowledge. I was just stating a fact.
Now it is stated, immutably and for the record. Yeah. Shall we rest so that we may, good bank tomorrow to...
Yes. Grab money. Because Loki's shopping list is expensive.
Well, everyone else got pretty.
But I'm worth every copper, he insists.
Oh, yes. As the brother to my sister, yes. That is a fact.
I will have to get used to that, but yes.
She is like a sister to me, and thus you are like a brother, Loki.
Yeah. So, that makes Celine a sister-in-law?
Kind
By
of.
covenant, technically, yes.
Oh, alright.
Like I said, I feel like we're all family here, right, Bright?
I mean,
Is that Bright? Does that make Bright the crazy aunt?
She is older than all of us.
She is older than all of us, yes. Right?
I think
You
so.
said something about being only about 100, right? At one point?
I'm old. I mean, technically I'm like 10,000, but yeah, I'm just a little over 100.
Poor Bright, you've been over here kicking dirt this entire time that it looks like you used your move Earth cantrip instead. It's just like...
Started digging a hole.
Digging holes and filling
Poor
them
Bright.
back in with molder.
Oh.
Yeah, I would consider you like a sister.
Oh, well, thank you. Yeah, I can go with Crazy Ant, but I don't have a cat. I have a Palila bird, who's also a cricket.
A chonky bird. That chonky bird is so cute, though.
Yeah, she's pretty cute, all right. I mean, I wouldn't have it any other way.
That's okay. You don't need cats. Having Peggy Sue is cute enough for the eccentric ant.
Okay, then I will claim that mantle.
So then the night continues on. It's rather quiet. You cast your spell, Mordecai, to establish your manifested temple. You all can go about your business within or without of the Orphanarium as you wish. I guess in this moment, either in this moment as people are walking away, or if there's a moment in the middle of the night, if any of you needed to do anything in particular, whether it was mischief or like Celine, I don't know, because you don't really sleep. Like if you need a moment to like come back out and just sort of like sit in quiet with your skull and reflect, or if you're just gonna be by Mordecai's side and read. Okay. Anything over the night then, or no? Okay. Dun.
Mordecai's just gonna sleep.
You wake up in the morning refreshed. Bright, you are visited by your usual dreams. 3 of them to be precise. And you can go about organizing your spell list for the day. You can also go to the bank.
Yes, I am going to do that for sure.
Do you want to go alone? Or do you want to take Celine? Or is this the whole party goes?
It's just a quick errand. I'm not
Sure.
I'm not planning on making any big stops. So if somebody wants to come, they can. But otherwise, I'm just gonna go by myself.
Okay.
Me and Loki are gonna go see Heron.
Yeah, you got to introduce him. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So yeah, Norlai and Loki are gonna skip off after breakfast.
Yeah, I'm going to check in on the construction of the progress of the construction. You know?
It kind of works both ways.
Semi.
You know, gnomes speak in metaphors, so like overall the Orphanarium is progress manifest, so the construction of the progress works. All right then. Let's Celine, then, if Mordecai's going to get up and run his errand, do you want to stay at the Orphanarium? Do you want to go about and do something?
You know what? No, I will go with him.
Okay.
I'll really stand there alone. I'll go with him.
Sure. You make your way to the bank, and you're greeted. You show the claim form that your father left for you, because he had a safety deposit, like a safety deposit box for you. And you're told right this way. Though you do have to give permission for Celine to enter the vault area with you. Otherwise, it would just be you and the banker.
Yeah, she's welcome. I'll request permission for hers, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, this is the last of whatever kind of life savings my father had saved up. I guess. I don't know where he's at now.
Could always go find him.
Yeah, that's true. He's last my mom said was he's off in Islandia somewhere, I think.
Yeah, he was a part of Operation Welcome Matt.
Welcome Matt.
Yeah.
So yeah, going north through Islandia to go into Imperial territory.
Yeah. Yeah, Operation Welcome Matt. He's turned into an explorer, I guess. At least comparatively to most of Mesomaskins. But I open up the box and see how much money is in there.
Yep. Now a question to you then.
Mm-hmm.
I can either roll. Well, I mean, I would offer the roll to you because I think it's more fun if you do it. But for your, I guess, for your living inheritance that your father has left, would you prefer a more potent money-only table, or would you prefer? It'd be a lesser money, but it might have some like lower level magic stuff, like, you know, in the first couple tables of the magic items. So you're not going to get, like, you know, he's not going to leave you a, you know, like a Vorpal sword or anything like that. But would
right.
you?
I thought I already claimed the items out of there.
Oh, did you? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, there was something I think that. Oh no, you did go to the bank and just get the items, didn't you? All right, because I thought that there was magic items.
The money
somewhere
that was
involved.
there.
It was just the money. Okay.
Yeah, there was. I don't know how much money was in there, but there was whatever cash was left in there. I had left.
Nope. So my brain note was correct. I just forgot to scratch off the claim part. So all right, yeah, you already did that. Yeah. Actually, now that you said it, I think that makes sense because we rolled for the random stuff that was in there. So okay.
Yeah.
Then I don't know if you are saving if you have an inspiration still from the last time that we visited a treasure table. But I guess either you or if Celine wants to get in on it too, if she has a an inspiration from something still floating.
Do I? I don't.
I do not.
Okay. Then go ahead and roll a 1d100 to find where you're at on the table, and then we'll determine 64. Okay. Now I need you to roll 2d6. Seven. And now I need you to roll a 1d6.
Oh,
okay.
Gross.
Well, in the grand scheme of things, I mean, your dad had a pretty solid business because he left you 10 platinum pieces and 700 gold pieces.
Okay.
It's 800 gold.
So
yeah.
And as a part of that, if you're claiming it, if you want to convert that into, I mean, if you want to convert the platinum into gold or the gold into platinum, they'll do a free monetary exchange. They won't trade it for a gem. That's not what they do, but you can go coin for coin if it's, probably easier to carry more platinum than gold. Just don't get your wallet stolen.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
but,
I'll go ahead and convert that to platinum then.
Okay. So then you have 18. No, you had 10 platinum pieces. So so that would be 100 gold. So yeah. So you'd have. Oh no, it was 10 plus the. Why is my math failing me? I'm mixing my gold and my platinum. It's making some weird.
Like 180 platinum in it.
Because it.
It'd be 80 platinum.
It'd be 80 platinum. Yeah.
80 platinum.
Yeah, because the 700 would go to 70.
Okay.
And yeah. So you have 80 platinum pieces that were left to you by your father, which is not. I mean, considering everyone who exists in Mesomasca, let alone Mesotopia, that's not a bad amount to have left to you.
Yeah,
you can buy a lot of things.
Really good business.
So, but yep, that is
really
yours.
well
And as the note indicated, I mean, he believes in you. He wants you to have that. There weren't really any conditions for it, so live your best life, etc., etc.
Mm-hmm. All right. Then yeah, that's claimed, and so that would put us at plus 930 gold. Puts us at 10,700 gold. Still not enough. This still isn't enough for Loki's expenses.
Are they Loki's expenses or are they Norlai's expectations?
It's one and the same.
The things that he wants, that's pricey.
Well, you can get your Shadowheart coins evaluated. If you
Yeah,
want to.
I think that's on the list.
Okay. All right. So you can go ahead and do that. So, Celine, do you want to stick around with Mordecai for this excursion as well?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you can go, and it's easy to find, as there's a lot of Shadowheart businesses, including those who deal with Shadowheart antiques or antiquities, or at least what they claim. Not that anyone in Mesomasca would know if something's actually an antique from the Northeast Empire there, but you can find a place. Meanwhile, across the city, Norlai and Loki, you make your way to Huron's place. You are greeted. He's going to give you a great big hug. He's going to invite you in. He's going to ask you all kinds of questions. Loki is also going to ask all kinds of questions too. He's trying to be the concerned big brother. And at some point in time, he rather uncouthly is is going to just call out like, "Look, I know you and my sister are doing it. All I'm going to say is don't break her heart, or you're going to have to answer to me."
Yeah.
And he's just, and Hiran's just like, all right. He looks over at you, Norlai, and
Don't worry about him.
Okay. And your brother, I mean, your brother kind of slipped into the, like he is in Hiran's house, and he's just sort of like scoping everything out, like, wow, there's a lot of expensive stuff in here. Like, it comes out as like, wow, I could be a potential thief stealing the most valuable items that exist. He hopefully won't, but that's also just the way that he had been talking since before he was sort of put out of his mind through this pact with Sho'neuroth.
Loki, don't steal anything. We don't do that anymore.
No.
Especially not from my boyfriend.
No, I don't need to. You're rich. You're the leader of that group of friends. Like they just went to the bank to get even more money. I don't need to steal from him.
Yeah, exactly.
And here, I'm sorry, not to say that your stuff isn't worth stealing. It absolutely is. In fact, I bet I could get. And he starts like quoting prices, on things. But no, it's great. In fact, that's your family's mark. I know I've seen this come through before. So yeah, no, you all do well. It wouldn't be business for you, but yeah, you are good business for other people too.
Hey, Hiran, if you're not too busy today, we were going to get some silver horn tips for Loki.
Oh. Yeah, did you need a I see that at some point you must have gotten a pretty bad injury there. Do you need a replacement for your one? Like a prosthetic?
Yeah, or just a cap to make them all uniform again.
Well, if you're worried about the cost, I know that a replacement would be more expensive. But I'll tell you what, as a gesture of good faith to you, Loki, to show that you are, I love your sister, and she is, then, you are as family to me as well. I will fit you with a full replacement instead of just a cap for your horn, if that's what you prefer. And Loki kind of like, yeah, I like this guy. Like, he's kind of like, oh, he's respecting me, and he's getting that kind of, big for his britches kind of a thing. And yeah. So
if you want to size that up, that's what it's going to look like after.
The whole world just shifted. There we go. So that will be your afternoon as you, Hiran, and Loki are measuring and talking and having exchanges. Mordecai and Celine are going to be pursuing cashing in things. I guess walking around the town together. At some point, you can have a lunch. Bright will do whatever she does. But we do need to take a break as we have been going for a little while here. So everyone, I have 8:48. So we can just round that to an 8:50. Why don't we come back at 9? Unless that's a little too long for you. Is about 10 minutes going to be okay for snacks and drinks and everything? Cool.
Yeah.
All right. So everyone out in the audience as well, if you got to, bathroom break, snack and a drink, do what you got to do. Enjoy our break screen. It has some custom music composed for our campaign. And if any of you have any subs to re-up, or if you have any bits that you'd like to part with, watch the middle of the screen, because a fun little thing will happen with the cupcake. And you'll see what I mean if you partake in that. So yeah, we'll be back in about 10 minutes, everyone. And we'll pick up after resolving the in-town stuff and continue the investigation for, whatever the party itself wants to do, let alone trying to locate Mercury.
Casimir's wife.
Casimir's wife, Tam. And seeing what else they might stumble across along the way, be it personal revelations or lore bombs. Ooh, could be spicy. See you soon, everyone.